This is the ABQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
People pleasing. That's what we're going to talk about today. I know some of you are nodding your head and you're like, Jason, yes, I'm that person. I'm always trying to people please. Well, it's not chronic. You're not going to die helpless. We have some answers for you today. If you're that person where everyone comes to you and they literally dump a shitload of problems on you all the time, and you're carrying the burden around of 3, 5, 10 people. And I don't know, some of you have friends that will talk on the phone for an hour and a half, and they just go on and on. I heard a lady the other day, this is a daughter, 20-year-old daughter, the mom is talking to her and just dumping about her dad to her and how horrific he is. That is not fair to the daughter. It's not fair at all. And then the perception of what dad really is, that does not need to be told to the daughter. Mom needs to get a friend, or she needs to figure it out herself, or she needs to get out of a relationship. If she's unhappy in a relationship, she needs to leave. And I don't know, people don't like to hear that because people just tend to suffer through relationships, or they do it for the kids. Well, the kid's gone. The kid's an adult now. The kid's 20. So that you staying together for dad, for the kids, why are you still doing that? If you're not happy, then leave. But a lot of times it's not the relationship that's making them happy. It's themselves, what they're doing that's making them happy. But I want to get into people pleasing, what it is, how to fix it, and what issues can be solved by you taking the time to go through your own mind and see these patterns and get rid of the people in your life that are dumping on you so that you can be free to focus on the most important person, and that is you. So let's get into this. If you are a yes person, if you will just do what other people want, if you're the last one to speak, if you're the perfect wife or the perfect husband or the perfect parent, if you're that person, then we need to talk about this, because you say, well, Jason, I feel like, I just help a lot of people and I'm serving people, and that's a good thing. And, I'm excited, to be able to serve. But there's a dark side to this, guys. And I want you to understand this. A lot of people use this problem of people pleasing to hide what's really inside. And what you don't realize is that there's this part of you that you live with, whether you want to take this or not and believe this or not. Maybe you've lived the lie so long that you cannot admit this. And that is that you're full of anger and resentment. And I know some of you say, well, no, that's not me. But let me explain anger and resentment. I work, 10 hours a day, and I do this, and this, and this. They never pay attention to me, and they just dump on me. My husband, he's always going out with his friends and doing his things. And, I never get a break from the kids because he's just doing this, and this. I want to be able to communicate and talk. I want to be able to share my problems. I'm never allowed to do that. See, you're pleasing others and you're feeling worn down and taken granted for, and that creates anger, and anger turns into resentment over time. And it creates disease or dis-ease in the body. And that's why some of you are having conditions physically, because it transfers mentally over. And you're like, well, that's my mental's not with my physical. I just have a problem. Well, yeah. Well, let me tell you a story. Have you ever had bad deviled eggs? Some of you can look at an egg after you've had a bad one and you've gotten super sick, or maybe you've had some food in your life where you've got food poisoning. You'll never touch that food again. You can literally look at that food or smell that food and it will make you physically sick. That's all mental. That food could be perfect and fine. See how mentally you can make yourself sick? So you take years and years and years of people pleasing. You take years of this hidden anger and resentment. Next thing you know, you have physical issues. You have these negative feelings that just constantly are pouring over you. Being a people pleaser is a way for you to repress who you are truly inside. Some people that people please don't even know who they actually are. They've never took the time to be self-aware enough to figure themselves out. Because feelings will always bubble over. Feelings are going to always come out. It's like boiling water in a pot. You cannot suppress feelings. You have to deal with them, or they will deal with you. They will repress, they will go up, they will show out. They're going to show out in illness. They're going to show up in you just being constantly irritable all the time. They're going to show up, and this is a big one, guys. Some of you guys do this with your relationships. They show up in sabotage. It may even be subtle sabotage where you just tell yourself you're not good enough and, you should just be happy. And you have, some of you justify this by saying, well, you know what? I do have a nice house, and there's a lot of people that don't have a house like this, and I should be thankful. There are people that don't have kids, and, I should, and so you're just justifying. But let's get back to sabotage, because I want you to understand how you sabotage yourself. Whenever you live in a state of dis-ease or disease, and you're repressing these feelings, and they start to bubble and they have to come out. And I'm saying with you getting angry and not that. I'm saying you keeping them at a simmer level, and you're just constantly year after year living at a simmer and it hasn't boiled over. The sabotage comes in so many different ways. And a lot of it is self-deprecating. It's you telling yourself that you're not worthy. It's you telling yourself that you don't have an opinion. It's you telling yourself that you're not good enough. It's you telling yourself that you will never amount to what you truly think that you can become. It's you sacrificing who you should be, your passion, your dreams, your life, that you were put here on this earth to live, and giving it up for other people's opinions. And I'm going to tell you that anger that you're feeling, and I hope you're feeling angry now. I hope you're like, Jason, this is right. This is who I am. I can't believe this. You're right. I need to do something about this. And you're getting frustrated, and I hope that you are. Because anger will always tell you something if you become self-aware enough to listen to it. You have to say, yes, I'm angry. I'm frustrated. Why? Well, chronic people-pleasing is a way for you to avoid the issues that are inside of yourself. That's all it is, guys. You are trying to avoid dealing with something that you need to deal with inside. Maybe you got extremely hurt when you were a child. Maybe something horrific happened to you. And people, when you were little, maybe you weren't accepted in school, whatever it may be. And now you have this thing that you need acceptance. You have to have acceptance. And guess what? You're always seeking this, and you're always looking external, so you can never look internal. You're always focused outward, and so you can never bring that awareness into full growth inside of who you are. And I want to ask you this question, and I'm going to share where I got all this information, and I hope, and I share a lot of information, and I always want to give credit where I get it from. But they asked this question, and in the show notes, you'll get all the information where you can get this from. There's like psychological evaluations that you can do, but this one's really good. To ask this question, what would I be doing if I weren't trying to fix someone else's problem? What would I be doing if I weren't trying to fix someone else's problem? If you could get that grip of always trying to people please, it would give you so much more time to be able to focus on yourself. But if you literally were able to dump all of that garbage and just throw that burden off, you wouldn't know what to do with all the time that you had. And that's the rub. That's where we have issues. You would feel restless. You would feel like you don't have a purpose, and you wouldn't know how to look within inside of yourself. So how do you reclaim your life? How does this work? How do you fix chronic people pleasing? You have to first understand that you have been focused on others to the detriment of yourself, and that you have focused so much on others that you've ignored the pain that's inside of you, and you need to define that pain. Also, not just the pain. This is some hard work, guys. Some of you will be willing to do this and some of you won't. You're going to have to define the emptiness, that empty part in you that you're trying to fill with people pleasing. And then you're going to have to figure out who disappointed you. Pain, emptiness, and disappointment. And that's all inside of you. You can change this if you're willing to have the courage to please yourself first. It's not about people pleasing. It's about pleasing you. And first thing that you need to do is ask the question, what do I really want? This is a tough question. And there's a book that I got this from. It's called Learning to Love Yourself. And like I said, I'll put the link to the book so you guys can get it. But what do I really want? This is soul searching. This is a process that can take years and years. Do you want a successful career and that's what you're focused on? Do you want an amazing relationship? Do you want your kids to be happy, healthy, and be able to be self-aware and to be able to have a life where they can stand up for themselves? Or do you want them to model your people pleasing and be miserable? So many moms teach their daughters not to be strong women. You have to break this cycle so that your children can see that. And if you have teenagers, especially teenage daughters, you need to have this conversation with them. Say, hey, I'm a people pleaser, and you may have this indication too. And here's what I'm doing to work on myself, and here's what you can do. I don't want you to have peer pressure in high school. I don't want you to, please this guy and do things that you don't want to do just so that he's happy. Because there are kids that are out there that are doing things that are horrific, getting themselves into jail, having, whatever it may be, unprotected sex, whatever it is that teenagers do, doing drugs, all these things. Why? Because they have this negative pattern that's in them that they're not good enough. And that the only way they get their goodness is by other people's opinions of them. That mental space that's inside of yourself that you're feeling right now because you're like, I'm a people pleaser and I don't know what to do. You've got to find out what you really want. This exercise of asking yourself constantly, what do I really want? Some of you can put this in your bathroom and every morning have a sheet that says, what do I really want? Just ask yourself that question. And I'm a spiritual person. I have the Higher Density Living podcast and we talk a lot spiritually. But I'm going to tell you, if you ask your question your soul, the spirit that's in you will give you that answer. Just keep asking yourself, what do I really want? Because those headaches that you're getting, those migraines, the insomnia that you can't sleep at night, that depression that you have, a lot of it stems from low self-esteem. A lot of it stems from your mind not being able to relax. And I'm going to tell you, when you begin to ask, what do you want? Then you can begin to change. And it's going to surprise you. Whether you need to journal, maybe you need to go on Amazon and buy a really nice journal and write in there, what do I want? What do I want physically for myself? What do I want mentally for myself? What do I want spiritually for myself? What do I want from my career? So many people have put everything on hold. Everything that they have the power to accomplish because they're so worried about people pleasing. I'm telling you guys, you have so much power inside of you. You can. If you're passionate about something, you can accomplish it. You can. You're like, I don't know. I'm 40 years old and I would have to go back to school. Yes, you can. You can do that. You need to sit down. Tell your husband. Tell your wife. I want to do this. I'm passionate about this. I'm going to take care of myself. Because if I'm at a 10 in my life, then it's going to transfer to you and it's going to transfer to the kids and everyone around. And I'm going back to school and I'm going to learn this. Well, you're 40 years old. But it doesn't matter. You would be 44 when you get done with school and then you can move on with your passion. We're supposed to live to 100 and 120 anyways. You say, well, physically, I would like to lose 20, 30 pounds. Well, there you go. Put yourself first. Go work out. Well, the person's calling me on the phone. No, you don't need to answer that. You tell them you're at the gym. You'll call them in an hour. Or I'm going for a walk. And I'm taking the dog for a walk and I'm going by myself. Put yourself first. Well, that's selfish, Jason. No, it's not. Because if you're not living to the best of who you are, you can't give the best to others. You have to put yourself first. And I want this to be a short podcast, but I want to tell you this. You have everything inside of you, to be the best version of who you want to be. You have everything inside of you. You don't need anything external to accomplish greatness because you have greatness in you. And I believe in you. And I believe you can do whatever you put your mind to with discipline, with courage, with time. You can accomplish anything. And I hope that this podcast will encourage you. I hope that this podcast will give you the courage to ask the question, what do I really want in my life? Who am I? Because self-awareness literally brings freedom. It brings freedom and it lifts that burden. Maybe you've been carrying it for 20, 30 years. To forgive, to be free, to say, I'm not going to allow what happened to me when I was 12 to define me who I am now when I'm 30, because I'm better than the past. I'm not going to be a victim anymore. That was my past. And the only thing the past does is the emotion that you give it. That's what gives you control. When you begin to say, this is just an emotion, I'm done with this, I'm not going to feel this way, this is what I'm accomplishing, your brain begins to react in amazing ways. You're going to be surprised in what you learn, guys. You're going to learn so much about yourself. And yes, it's going to be painful sometimes. Yes, there'll be a lot of tears. But how wonderful it could be if you knew that you could look at yourself in the mirror and some of you can't even look at yourself in the mirror and the first things you say are negative things. Some of you can't even look in your own eyes. Look in your eyes. Look in the mirror. And I'm not talking about positive affirmations. Those are good things. Yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm talking about looking at yourself completely and saying, I know this isn't the best version of me. And this is how I'm going to look when I am the best version of me. This is how I'm going to act. This is the freedom that I'm going to give myself. Put yourself first, guys. Love yourself. And that love will transfer to every single person that you're involved with. And you will be able to accomplish amazing things, because when you come from love and you don't come from fear, when you come from a true happiness and a purpose, and people see that, then you bring true love, that selfless love. That's when you bring it to others. Not your anger, your fear, your guilt. Your children don't need that. Your partner doesn't need that. And for sure, more than anything, you don't need that. Hope you guys subscribe to this podcast. I hope you go on Instagram, ABQ Jason Rigby. Follow me. I'm on YouTube, Twitter. I'm on all of them. If you like Facebook, I'm on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook a lot anymore. It seems like it's just, I don't want to deal with all the negativity in the world that's going on. And Facebook's just pumping me with this garbage. So I'm off that. I'm on Instagram. And you know, not only, you know, and that, let me tell you something too. Be very picky with who you follow. Follow people that are positive. Follow people that motivate you. Make those people that you follow, make them your mentors. You don't need to follow all your friends. If they say you unfollowed me, tell them you're too negative. Be brave. Be courageous, guys. Love yourself. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share and go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.